addressed everyone with a haughty expression that had me groaning out loud. Lincoln winced and then patted the sand. "Angelica, why don't you sit? I know it was a long drive back from Portland." Her eyes penetrated mine with ferocity. Well, her voice always did remind me of sex, damn it. It was low, controlled, raspy. I would have gotten here a lot sooner if my jackass of an agent wouldn't have dropped me off on the side of the road with nothing but a $20 bill and a cell phone. Jay glared at me. I crossed my arms. Well, maybe your agent wanted you to remember who's in charge of your career. The same career hanging on by a thread. I've heard walks are good for dogs, you know, clean air and all that. She gasped in outrage. Zane shot me a "really, man?" look across the fire. But I was over it. So over it. I was over it the day Angelica Green walked out of my life and into my bandmate's arms. I was over it then, and I was over it now. The only reason I was even involved in it was because she had just as much shit on me as I did on her. And most days, I loved my job. She kicked sand onto my marshmallow. I loved my job. I loved my job. I loved my job. I hated Angelica Green. Before heartbreak. New York City, Madison Square Garden, 2006. I fixed the earpiece and slowly grabbed a stool to sit on while the crowd of 90% girls went completely wild, losing their minds, sobbing, screaming my name. The signs were littered with marriage proposals and glitter. Some were decorated with bras, while others were flung onto the stage. "We're going to slow things down a bit." I chuckled into the mic as the screaming intensified. I always loved this part. The part where thousands of people were silenced just because I wanted them to be silent. The power was addicting. Then again, nobody ever said fame didn't change people. I refused to be that person. Maybe that was why I was the lead singer. I was the only one smart enough not to get caught up in all the shit that my bandmates found it impossible to stay away from, like all the amazing sex I wasn't having, and the drugs I wasn't taking because why ruin a good thing? And our band? The biggest boy band the world had seen. Trust me, we were a good thing just waiting to get brought down a peg or two. Already we'd lost one member to rehab, and I'd be damned if we let it happen with the others. It was our last tour stop. Then I had a cameo in a movie soon after that. Who knew? A young teen caught my eye. She couldn't be more than 12 or 13, though the way she wore her makeup and short skirt told me that her parents better put her on a tight leash before she ended up in trouble. God, just listen to me. At 19, I felt like I was pushing 30. I finished the last set with the guys, hardly remembering anything above the shrieking screams as security ushered us off the stage. I was exhausted, but I knew what was expected before I could sleep. Autographs with every single tween who'd managed to beg their parents to pay the steep price, and there would be at least 100 of them. I inwardly groaned while Trevor gave me a look of disgust. He hated it as much as I did, but he faked it better than any of us. Maybe it was because he was a cocky piece of work and people expected him to be a bit rude. Who knew? If I was the front man, he was a close tie. More second frontman than sidekick, though he hated the label. Andrew jerked off his headset and cursed. "Let's just get this shit over with." My thoughts exactly. It had been fun when we were 14. It was a blast when we were 16. But now that we were all pushing 20 and 21, we wanted more to life. I knew that the lifestyle was getting to everyone, and I could see it in their eyes when they talked to friends back home, friends who were in college, friends who actually had lives, friends who wanted ours, without having any idea the sacrifices made to have it. We were basically shoved toward the dressing room and the backstage area where we were at least given